Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement. Hello again, St. Lucia, and welcome to the program, Agriculture on the Move. My name is Philip Sidney, your host. Today, we have a very interesting topic, which is the continuation of the topic for the past few programs, and that is Cmos production. And with me today is Ms. Christal Valcin, who is the Fisheries Assistant in the Department of Fisheries in the Ministry of Agriculture. Welcome to the program, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you today. We have a different face, a young face.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, Christal, we're talking Sea Moss production.
Yes.
And that will take us into what we call our Sea Moss Fiesta,
yes,
which we will speak of in a little while.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go back a bit into the Sea Moss production in St. Lucia as far as the Department of Fisheries is concerned. Give us a little overview of Sea Moss production in that department.
Right. So Sea Moss is under the purview of the Department of Fisheries, as you rightly said, and it is a form of mariculture, which is farming that is done with marine plants, mm-hmm, and Sea Moss being a marine plant. At this time, that is part of the work program of the aquaculture unit within the Department of Fisheries. Mm-hmm. So yes, we have major stake in the Sea Moss industry.
Great. I know that began some years ago.
Yes, over 30 years ago. So the Government of Saint Lucia implemented a research program in 1981, and through that, I think it started out with a small group of farmers in the southeast coast. And from that, that is how our industry has blossomed and grown into what it is now. Mm-hmm. And in fact, the technologies and the knowledge that was learned then was actually transferred to other islands. That's how superior, I don't know if I could use that word, but that's how good our farmers were, that's how good our industry was. And of course, the Department of Fisheries is interested in continuing this and making sure that St. Lucian Sea Moss remains at the top.
Great. In fact, if I go back a bit, I remember praline was one of the base for a number of farmers in that area growing sea moss.
Yes.
And so much so, I think it went as far as a processing plant was established.
Yes.
Yeah, in praline.
So praline is one of the major groups with lots of sea moss farming, mm-hmm, and processing being done, as well as Opicor, and we have Moshi as well as Labrie.
Yes, so there are little small pockets, yes, who have decided to go into. And I know over the years, it started small and it has grown. Mm-hmm. And what I have seen, especially for the past 2 years during the COVID, mm-hmm, I call it the gold rush. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. Right. So people figure that, like I interviewed a lady here some time ago, and she said she's from Moshi, mm-hmm, and she said, they were just at home, not doing anything. They said, let's go and walk on the beach. And then that's how they decided to go into Sea Moss.
In fact, there are over 400 persons who are registered with the Department of Fisheries as Sea Moss farmers, and we see, as you rightly said, that the interest is growing, mm-hmm, and so we can anticipate that more persons will register as Sea Moss farmers with us.
Definitely. In fact, that gold rush had issues in that people were looking for space, because it caused a little problem. Whereby sea bathers,
yes,
could not get a spot to bathe, especially in praline and Savans Bay, mm-hmm, and also you find the fishers now had an issue, so much so there have been a number of meetings in the past Minister of Agriculture and also the present Minister of Agriculture, where concerns were raised by especially the Sea Moss farmers in praline and Savans Bay, looking, because people came there as though it was a gold rush.
Right.
one morning people just got up and they just saw, you know, a whole set of stuff just hanging out, ropes tied on, you know, in the sea, and nowhere to go, nowhere to bathe. So people saw the rush and the cost. You know, the sale was high, the demand was high, and I think that's where we had Export Saint Lucia got involved, and they were able to work with some of the farmers, and they exported a number of, you know, various. I think there's a few varieties, and they exported, and then that yielded over $6 million, in, as far as I was told, you know, sometime last year. You know, and it's growing.
It is a Department of Fisheries, because we are also we have interest in the fishing industry as well, obviously. And so it is important to us to make sure that all the persons who use marine spaces, the beach and the sea and so on, are comfortable. And so those are conversations that we have had, and we will continue to have, because it's a shared space and we want everybody to be comfortable in using these marine resources.
Yeah, but one of the things I think that is coming to the fore now is the quality of sea moss that is being exported. I don't know, I'm sure you have heard that, you know, our sea moss is premium.
Yes.
You know, in the world.
Yes.
But then because of that too, you find some of the countries are trying their best now to come on board and to suppress our sale. As far as marketing is concerned. You heard about that, right?
I have heard about that. I can't speak to that too much, but what I will say is that, you know, at the Department of Fisheries, we are committed to ensuring that the sea moss that is being produced in St. Lucia remains top quality. And I can't speak to competition, because, you know, there will be competition, but we just want to make sure that our farmers get the better part of the bargain, basically.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
In terms of the agronomic practices, you know, of sea moss, what is your department doing? Working? What are they bringing to the farmers?
Yes, so we have had many training sessions, workshops, and consultations, and those are continuing. In fact, we are presently implementing a project, and that project is geared towards having those workshops with the sea moss farmers to improve their farming techniques.
Yeah, so it started already?
Yes, so this is basically part and parcel of what the Sea Moss Expo would be.
About. Great. You mentioned about 400 farmers that you have had, or processors?
Registered farmers.
Registered farmers.
Registered farmers.
Okay, but do you know how many processors you have thus far?
At this time, no.
Okay.
But we are working towards getting that information, and phase 2 of this project would give us a clear idea of how many persons who are processors, how many persons who are farmers, as well as processors,
yes.
and so on.
How have you all thought of bringing in young people into the fold of going into sea moss production?
Yes, in some of those communities that I mentioned, sea moss is a family affair, and so you have mothers and children participating and assisting. At this time, we don't engage younger persons, 18 and older, but to be registered as a farmer, as a sea moss farmer, you have to be above 18 years. You have to be of a certain age.
But have you seen people gravitating to that? Young people gravitating to be farmers?
As far as I have seen, no.
Okay.
Young persons, no. But I am sure that they are there. It's just that, you know, we have not captured those persons in our.
I know there are families involved. I know, for example, there's a lady you call her Vigor Moss. She used to be from Praslin. Now she operates in Dennery. But she has, I think, when she was involved, she got all her kids involved.
Yeah.
And right now they are grown and they have gone separate ways, and they are, you know, entrepreneurs.
Yes. Well, the thing with sea moss is that it can really be regarded as a family activity, and part of the interest is the socioeconomic benefits that it brings, and so, you know, it can be used as bonding, and also not just for the family but for the community as well. You have the associations that come up as a result of this, and those associations have their separate communal activities that they carry out. So yes, sea moss it's really about, you know, bringing everybody together for economic benefits, of course, but also, you know, persons use it to bond, and that's great.
Because one of the things like I've said on this program on many occasions is that government cannot employ everybody. You know?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. So what they can do is to create the environment,
the avenues,
so that they can do certain things to empower themselves, and so that in the communities they can actually do the processing, sell in the community. Also, they can employ people in the processing. You know, so the money, you know, at least it stays in the community.
Stays, yes.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's you know, the way to go, because government will never be able to employ everybody. It is definitely impossible.
Yeah, and as we have seen with everything that's been going on, there is much employment to be gained in the CMOS industry. So I would encourage persons to get into CMOS farming.
do you all have out in the field, do you have officers, extension officers who work directly with the farmers?
We have officers who work with the farmers, yes, and they provide technical expertise and so on. Yes. At present, we have an aquaculturist, Von Serrier, who he is the head of the aquaculture unit, so he is very hands-on in that regard. The aquaculture unit, though, is divided between CMOS, so that mariculture aspect, and also aquaculture, as in aquaponics and that kind of thing. So, you know, we are kind of stretched thin, but we have extension officers who are knowledgeable in CMOS, and they can also provide that guidance.
Okay. So they're out there, you know, on a regular basis, advising the farmers. When the farmers need to get information, they go directly to them, right? They
go directly to them. In fact, those persons will be at the CMOS Expo. I know I'm jumping ahead.
No problem.
But those persons will be at the CMOS Expo, and so persons can come to get information on how to cultivate, how to grow the CMOS, give you guidance in that regard, and you can also indicate your interest to the Department of Fisheries, and those persons will contact you.
Is there a tech pack that, you know, where that can be given to the farmer, as far as getting information, reading about it, knowing exactly how to start, what to do, and that kind of thing?
Yes, there is literature available in that which would speak to those things, and those will be available at the CMOS Expo.
Great. In terms of training overseas, I don't know, the ministry or the Department of Fisheries have engaged in taking farmers to be trained overseas, or say to meet their counterpart in St. Vincent and to share knowledge, you know?
Yes, they have. I think there was an expedition a few years ago to Malaysia, I think it was, where some of the extension officers as well as some farmers went to Malaysia, and they were able to report on, able to see firsthand and report on how they engaged, how they did the CMOS. In fact, they said that they eat the CMOS raw.
Yes.
Which is strange, considering the fact that, you know, we do so much processing into our CMOS. So yes, there are those connections and linkages being made across the Caribbean and internationally, where we have our officers and the farmers learning more about CMOS, and again improving the technique in order to make our industry better.
Yep, I had a gentleman here some years ago I interviewed, and he brought in a new variety of CMOS, you know, and that's, you know, to my mind, what made our CMOS premium,
right,
you know, with that particular variety. And then I think that is why today, you know, our CMOS is looked at as one of the best CMOS in the world.
Yeah, so in the beginning, I think there are over 7 variants of CMOS.
Okay.
And in St. Lucia, there were 3 that were being used at the time. So in the 1980s, there were 3 that were being used. But because the other 2 were relatively slow to grow, they decided to weed them out. And so Eucuma cottonii is the premier variant that is being cultivated in St. Lucia.
So that's what you're pushing now?
That's what we have. Yes, that's what we're pushing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I noticed they have they talk about the duck Cmos and this. You know anything about that? No,
no, that's I can't speak to that per se.
But I think it's a question of the way it's dried.
The way it is dried,
yes.
And all those things. Yeah,
because but for some reason, by Saint Lucia, up to this point, we are top in the production of Sea Moss, which is very, very good. And you mentioned about eating it and making a salad out of it. When we get to the actual culinary aspect of it, we will speak about that, but we're due for our break. Okay?
Yes.
You're watching Agriculture on the Move. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon. Don't go away.
The Ministry of Agriculture and FAO presents World Food Day 2022 Sea Moss Fiesta, Sunday, October 16th, Fordor Park, Dennery. This is a food and nutrition strategy. Sea Moss Fiesta features lots of sea moss products, delicious healthy meals, snacks, nutritious beverages, beauty and healthcare products, and an array of sea moss brands. It's a family day with a kids zone and a wide range of fun-filled activities for the entire family. Lots of entertainment, cultural performances, the legendary jazz icons Ronald Buhington and Jab Duplessis, the Big Bad DYP Band, T-Blacks, Umpa, and lots more. Your security is our pledge. Eat to live, not live to eat. Food is health, health is wealth. Food is essential for living as air is for breathing. Food security for surety. The Ministry of Agriculture has done it again. World Food Day 2022 Sea Moss Fiesta, Sunday, October 16th, Fordor Park, Dennery. See you there.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move. Of course, with me is lovely Christal Valcin. She's all in smiles, And of course, we're talking about the Sea Moss Fiesta coming on. A while ago, we spoke about Sea Moss production. And of course, from the production now, we need to tell people and show people the derivatives of Sea Moss. What can be done with Sea Moss? And trust me, a lot can be done with Sea Moss. And we are going into what we call our Sea Moss Fiesta, which is going to be held on October 16th, and that is World Food Day. And what is World Food Day? Of course, it's a day that we commemorate because of the alleviation of hunger. The United Nations pledged that day to ensure that food is available to every human being in this world. The problem we have is the access to food. But I have always maintained there is enough food for everybody to consume. And in St. Lucia, what we have done every World Food Day is to identify an activity and to promote a commodity on World Food Day. On the heels of our Banana Festival and the Mango Festival, here we are with a Sea Moss Fiesta. And so Christal, she is part and parcel of the events committee, and she knows everything about what we have planned for October 16th. And by the way, it's going to be held at Fordor Park in Dennery. It starts at 10 o'clock and it's going to end at 6 o'clock. So Christal, tell us a little, how did we get to that Sea Moss Fiesta?
Okay, so I alluded to the fact that there are projects going on. There's an ongoing project, a Sea Moss Project, and that project is titled Enhancing the Employment Potential for St. Lucia's Sea Moss Industry. And basically what that does is that we provide processors with the avenue to showcase their Sea Moss products, as is what we will do for World Food Day. And we would also identify some of the gaps and the loopholes and address those to ensure that, our industry thrives.
Okay, so at that festival, based on the project, I also was told that you will be carrying out, a survey or something of that in that regard.
Yeah, so the survey would be geared towards the processors, basically just to find out, how much Sea Moss they use per unit, and the cost of that, because we do have a cost analysis that will be done in the second phase of that project. So it's basically the information that we will be receiving would just assist with, product development and enhancing processing of the sea moss.
Okay. And from there, what's the next step you think will happen as far as the process after they have gained the experience and they have showcased what we're going to be talking about in a bit? What's the next step?
I think the next step for the Department of Fisheries would be consultations with them. So after this has been done, consultations to ensure that, you know, all the conclusions that we arrived at are implemented, and that, you know, the sea moss industry has a stronger foundation upon which to go forth.
Okay. Based on the discussion we have been having, and of course the number of participants, and trust me, that is, people have been calling, you know, seeing the ad, you know, I've been calling and wanting to come on board, but we cannot take,
Yeah.
I mean, thus far I have about what, 23 and 23,
Yeah.
you know, including the schools,
Right.
and we'll talk about the schools in a while. But let us look at those persons who are involved as processors. What has been derived? Tell us some of the products that we're hoping to see, you know, on.
Yes. So we're hoping to see a wide array of products. So everything from gels, capsules, supplements. We'll have the powder. We'll have persons also selling raw sea moss. We'll have the beverages, of course, and then the foods, gummies, and so on.
I think the soaps too, right?
And soaps,
and they have
yes.
cosmetics,
So we will have body care,
body
skin
care,
care, yes.
skin care. You know, and I mean, and people are calling all the time. You know, and the thing about it, if you notice, you would go anywhere, any of the restaurants, even in the supermarket shelves, you'll see something sea moss, right?
Yes, yes.
So that tells you, you know, it's.
And the thing with sea moss is that it's so versatile.
It
like,
is.
you know, you can do so many things with sea moss, and you don't even need much.
Yes.
I actually learned this in this process, that you don't need much to, you know, come out with a large batch of particular items.
In fact, there is in Upiko or Savans Bay. Remember, we had a small Sea Moss festival a few years ago. I don't think you were around then. And then, I mean, that's what opened my eye.
The Sea Moss Expo in 2016.
Yes.
Yes.
And what I saw, for example, coming from Savans Bay, they did a powder. It's like a pellet powder kind of thing, but it's all mixed with all its nutrients, all the spices and everything.
Right.
And all you have to do is just put it in your teacup, and you pour hot water or cold water in it, and then so it was well packaged.
Right.
And I remember telling a friend of mine in Martinique, a businessman, and he came down with another gentleman here, and they wanted a container every fortnight, which of course was impossible, you know. But the demand is there, you know, and that tells you the versatility of sea moss, the number of derivatives from sea moss that can be done, and Sunday is going to be great,
right.
you know, and that is one of the things that you will definitely see, you know, coming from the 20-odd, you know, processors that are going to be, you know. I'm sure. Are you excited about it?
I am excited, and I am excited to see what the students will showcase for sure.
Yes.
Because, you know, we've had 2 other expos, the mango and the banana, and the students came out and they were just wonderful.
Yeah, out of this world,
and they were just very creative with what they came up with. And so I'm very excited to see what the students from the schools will be doing in relation to sea moss. I'm ready to eat, that's for sure.
You start eating already?
I'm ready to eat.
Yeah, because what I really want to sample is the Sea Moss ice cream.
Ooh.
Yeah, because there's a lady in the Saint Lucia network of rural women.
Okay.
This is the Miku cluster. I know there's a lady and she's working towards that. So definitely should be there with a Sea Moss ice cream.
Sea Moss ice cream.
You know, and there's so many things. And let's go back a bit to the using the fresh sea moss as salads. You can actually, it is ship dried, and what they do when it gets over there, it's put in water to rehydrate, and then it is chopped into small bits, and it is added
add the salt
to salads. You know, and it's part of the culinary.
And it's part of the culture too. Now I can't imagine doing that.
It's your taste buds.
Yes, but apparently it's something that they do all the time.
Yes,
And then
there's a demand.
I remember one of the one of the someone from the team was saying they could not understand how and why we made sea moss as a beverage because they were so accustomed to eating it raw.
Right.
So, you know, it really will be an eye-opening experience to come out to see what persons will be doing and making with the sea moss.
Definitely.
There's really and truly so much that
and that is why we want people to come, because it's going to be an exhibition, yes, but you have the opportunity to buy stuff.
Right.
Because it's a market.
Yeah.
It's an exhibition/market, right? So all the CMOS processors will be able to sell their stuff and to market themselves on that day, you know, because they're going to be showcased. They will be interviewed, you know, on air, so people will know who they are, you know, come with their business cards, you know, discussion, you know, for market possibilities and stuff like this. So,
and part of the project does entail providing assistance with marketing opportunities. And so the CMOS Expo would be a good way for processors to market themselves and to show St. Lucia and the rest of the world, quite frankly, what they have, and again to make sure that St. Lucian CMOS remains on top.
Definitely. And so that is why we have collaborators there. We have, for example, SLDB is going to be there. Again, they're the ones that will be saying, hello, we can give you X to assist you. Okay, we have Export St. Lucia there who will be here. You can go to them and they will tell you exactly how they can assist you in marketing of your produce. And one of the things one of the guys was saying at the meeting we had with the minister is well wrapped up in this, because before I end, I want to hasten to say this is another food and nutrition security strategy. That is key. We need to eat what we produce, eat fresh St. Lucia's best. Let us get St. Lucians to consume more of what is produced locally. Okay, and with Export St. Lucia on board, you know, it's an opportunity to market our processed stuff. Instead of exporting the dried sea moss, all right, why not export the gel? Right. I mean, there's so many things that could be made out of sea moss. So in other words, if you have a container of dried sea moss, as opposed to have a container loaded with gel, there's more money in there than the dried sea moss. So I just want to say, on Sunday it will be a family day, as you know, and people have to come out there because the kids are going to be well entertained. There'll be a kids zone, so there'll be bouncing castles, face painting, you know, all your gummy bears and everything. You know, you can get that there. For the grown-ups, the bars will be loaded. Big Mama will be there, right? A bar. So, and there's lots of foods, the seafoods, the whole works. So we are asking people to come there. And to keep you there will be the entertainment. We are in Creole Month. And of course, you'll have the Avot service, you know, the Taboo Melee, the Secret Band, the East Coast Band, and the list goes on. There'll be a jazz segment. Fondo is known for jazz, right? I've been there. You know, so during lunchtime, going on to 2 o'clock, Bohingson and his team is going to definitely blow your mind away. And of course, if Jab Duplessis, you know, and then it comes to the hype now, where we bring in the Mama Teng Teng, right? You know, and of course the big DYP, Umpa and Sabans, and you know, the list goes on. Reddy will be there. T-Blacks will be there as well. The Mama Teng Teng, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be, but I'm looking forward. All I want, God, give us good weather. I know. The rain has been causing a challenge. Yes. So we ask them, people come in large numbers. You know, the place, Fonda looks real nice. I honestly want to thank the bottling mates who came there and did a fantastic job. So I'm really looking forward for you all to be there on that day. Thank you again for being here, Ms. Valcin. You know, we have come to the end of the program, and I'm sure you and myself are looking forward, and the committee members, for a lovely Sunday, a holy Sunday at Fondo. Thank you for being here. Thank you. You've been watching Agriculture on the Move. Thank you for viewing the program. And remember, agriculture is our business. Eat fresh. St. Lucia's best. I'm Philip Sidney, together with Ms. Valcin, saying goodbye and see you again.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.